It's just really, really important that we understand what's coming down the pike, to set yourself up in such a manner that you can be independent. You just have no idea how nice it is when Uncle Bill has no more mail for you. I hope you understood what I said. It is so nice to not have an electric bill. It is so nice to have, because when we left that homestead, I had to change our life because we no longer had all of our children and all those things, and it became very, very much very consuming. And at the time, I was involved of camp meetings all over the country and lecturing all over the country. I'd have to come home, and I had piles and mountains of work, and we had to make some serious decisions. And the hardest thing for me to do in life, it was like getting divorced. It was the hardest thing for me to do, is to walk away from that farm. I am not kidding you. It was like cutting my legs off. Because I had to I told you the experience out there on the plow. The Lord said, Ron, who is your Savior? And it really hit me hard. And I realized, Lord, you've given me too much to hold to myself. And so He put me out back into ministry and to work and teaching and educating people. And I knew that I was going to have to still make a living because, oh man, I better shut up before I go too far here. Not everybody has the means to help support other ministries. Do you understand what I'm saying? I believe in true self-supporting ministry. I have been taught that from the get-go. I like my independence, and I don't like to be dependent on you to make my living for me. I'm not a monk, and I don't belong to a church system that's monkery. So I had to figure out how to make my life support myself in this work. You follow me? So that's why we left the homestead, so I could intensify, because we didn't have children anymore, intensify what we were doing and masterpiece, like you saw in those pictures, how to make this thing work tight and efficient and financially successful. Because then it gave me the freedom to be able to come out here to Washington and things like that. So the importance of building your lives, even now, probably most of us in this room are tied into the grid. Most of us are tied into Uncle Bill. And every month we get bill after bill after bill after bill. Is that right? He comes a knocking on the door. Well, I was determined to get away from Uncle Bill again. I was tired of giving Uncle Bill everything I was working for, so we went back and we got completely back off the grid like we are today. And it's a nice feeling. I don't know if Jesus is going to come tomorrow. I don't know whether it's 20 years from now, but I can tell you right now, I enjoy the freedom that I'm enjoying to be able to not see Uncle Bill hit my door every month. So if you have, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you have that vision in your head and your heart, we still have a bit of time, I believe, to pursue that direction. But you got to set yourself up, folks, in such a manner to where if the grid does come down, if your solar system does collapse, you're not dependent upon those things. We still have our place set up with, I keep a 5 to 10 gallon container of kerosene. We still have kerosene lamps, and I can still study with a good old kerosene lamp. I've done it for years. And we still have within our home a wood cook stove. Every home needs to have a wood cook stove. Now, that takes me to a place, because my ticker talker over there is talking to me. In your home. Now, I hope and pray that I don't offend anybody in here, but if I do, forgive me. A lot of our homes that are built today are built according to the styles of Babylon. They're big and they're fancy and they're all cut up. Is that right? Because that's either what we've grown up with or that's what we've been a part of, a big part of our life. And I don't know why we do what we do, but we do somehow. When I got into the building trade a long time ago, I wanted to know what was the most efficient. And if you'll go back to the old homestead homes, you're going to see something very common in these homes. They were a box. Some of them were a little longer, but a lot of them were very square. And they had porches, or they might had a back porch that was closed in and all those kind of things. But they had one thing that was very much in common, and I learned this with many different, even in different countries. Their heating system was centralized in that home. And it was usually and a lot of times it was back to back with a wood-cooked stove or a wood heating stove. They had a chimney that went right straight up near the center of that home, and the kitchen was the one on side, the dining room was the one on side, the living room and the bedrooms, and most of the bedrooms were upstairs. And the reason for that was those homes were built so when they were using their wood-cooked stove or their heating system, it centralized the heat in the house, and that end of the house wasn't freezing. You follow what I'm saying? Because a lot of times these homes, and I've been in a lot of different places, a lot of these homes, they think they're ready for what's coming, and they're going to be living down there in the living room or the kitchen. Because in the wintertime, it's going to be freezing down there, unless they have some way of heating it. So the importance of having your home set up with a system, unless you have a furnace that can be ran properly from the basement and duct up into your house, that's another method that was used. That's still independent of any kind of electricity. But that was one of the common things. Now, the wood-cooked stove is very important for that home. Now, it becomes really the location, the central place in a home. You've got to have some way to be able to prepare your meals in your place. If you can't get gas and you can't get electricity, you've got to have some way of being able to heat up things or cook things. Is that right? Now, again, I think because of where we live and various other locations, that if you've ever visited any of these homesteads or ever looked online on these homesteads, every one of them had something in common. You know what that was? Thank you. An outside kitchen. It was called a cookhouse. It's called the canning kitchen. And a lot of the homes actually had a structure that was built about the same length of the house. And this is going to be crude, you just have to forgive me. When the gable end was here, the roof line went here and covered, and this was a porch, a breezeway. And when the summer months came, they cooked over here and kept the heat out of here. It's amazing. It's a very simple style, but it's very efficient for off-grid living, if you please. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can't have a cookhouse that's separated from your house, but you got to have some kind of place to where you have another wood cook stove in there where you get the heat out of the house in the summer. Because you're still going to need to cook and you need to prepare your meals. They used to call it a canning kitchen or an outdoor cooking kitchen. It has to be, you have to have one on your place. You've got to have, because it's like this brother said, all your canning is going to be done. And you know, if you've ever canned at all, that you got all this heat and all this steam and all this, and your house just becomes a boiling hot mess. Unless you're so tied to the grid that you have air conditioning, and you're not going to have it when the system shuts down. It is incredibly important on a home place, because if you're going to be doing it, whether you want to or not, if you're going to eat, you're going to put food away. You have no choice in the matter unless you're just plain foolish. I told you earlier, we used to put 1,500 to 2,000 quarts up every year. Because you had to eat. Because eating was the factor of your fuel, because you were putting out so much work that you had to have that fuel and you could not be without it. And then on top of that, we had 4 to 5 young people that would come and live on the farm with us to experience this life that they loved. Yeah. Now, I started to go somewhere with the wood cook stove, and especially with the wood cook stove that's in your house. All right? You've set up your water system. It's able to gravity flow back to your house, so you got water pressure. What you want to do is you want to make sure wherever this tank is, that it's higher, or at least as high as the peak of your house. You follow what I'm saying? When it gravity flows back, it will reach its height. You understand what I'm saying? It will go no higher than what that tank is. And the reason for that is these wood cook stoves that we have today have what's called a convection coil in them. These convection coils go into your wood box where the fire is, and you can have hot water just the same as if you have it right here in your home in modern times. We did it in all of our homes, and we have this convection coil, and you're plumbed into your whole plumbing system. And when you're in the winter months, or the spring and winter and fall months, those months are the cooler months. You're going to be using that wood cook stove. And believe me, brethren, you're going to care in the summer if you have a hot shower or not. You're just going to be thankful to have some water to wash off with, right? But it's those colder months that you want hot water. Those convection coils, you put a hot water tank upstairs, and it's all plumbed in properly. And that convection coil goes from your wood stove up to your hot water tank, and back down to your stove. And because heat rises, it will push this and cause a convection. And it'll do this until it's going to start going tick, 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 tick. And you got a hot water tank that's really hot. And you will have a pop-off valve on that thing. And there's companies right now that have those very units to where you can set yourself up to where you have all the hot water in the world. We were not without convenience on this homestead. It was completely set up. In fact, the family that's living there now, after 20 years of us being gone from that homestead, are still living on that homestead by what we set up. Isn't that amazing? Now, that's what you call country living. And this is what I've been trying to get you to see in all the stuff I keep telling you all these stories about. Because right here, that's living. And that's what you're looking for, and that's what you want. You don't want to take the city to the country. Leave the city back there. Those people have no clue of how to live in any way, shape, or form. And what I'm trying to do is to try to help you to get a vision to see how you can be living. And I mean live. So you can see the power of a homestead.
To be aware of new videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to the Preparing for the Time of Trouble channel. For more free videos and downloadable audio podcasts, as well as handouts, go to www.preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com. Topic categories include recordings of live seminar presentations, country living, sustainable gardening, homestead remedies, how to be self-sufficient when the grid goes down, wild edible and medicinal plants, hydrotherapy, and end-time Bible prophecies. To take advantage of these free resources, go to preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com.